Hello.
Riddle me this, Grant Man. Hello and welcome to Encounter Roleplay. Hello to those watching live on Twitch, and if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to join us live for this show every Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the live show. Today we are playing Episode 2 of Unrestful Hearts in the Garden of Glory. Tonight's episode is titled Star-Crossed. Let's go around the cast and crew and figure out who we are and what we're playing. We'll start with myself. My name is Grant Ellis. I'm an independent content creator of tabletop role games. I play in a lot of different games online, and tonight we are running a game of my own devilish creation. After me, what we will do is we will go around counterclockwise, and Pro Restarter, how about you go next?
Hey, yeah, I am Pro Restarter. I'm about to be here back again in my night shoes. I am playing Sir Daniel de Eagle, the Rose Knight. I'm very happy to be back in their shoes.
And M.
Hi, my name's M, Addie Jeffrey on Twitter. Also very excited to be back here playing Chev Ophelia de Lion. Sweet child, very young, trying to figure out how to knight. And yeah, that's pretty much me.
Gonna get your knight on. And Poisel.
Hi, I'm Poisel at A Poisel on Twitter or just Poisel on Twitch. I am playing Chev Antimony the Dragon, the Liberator, here tonight. I'm excited to play again with you all.
And her Star of the Skies, playing her Star of the Skies, Marzi Vallon.
Hi, everybody. My name is Marcy, and tonight I will be playing Rosary the Antelier of House Estelle, her Star of the Skies, which I'm going to make Grant call me every time.
If I don't say it, I'll forget. And battling the internet and the elements and the forces of nature conspiring against them. Jess, how are you?
Oh no.
Oh no, we've lost her. Jess's Burst of Hope playing Sir Catelyn de Wolf, battling internet issues. In certain parts of the United States, we are being hit by serious snowfalls this weekend, and it may be impacting the up and down speed of Jess's internet. However, we will see if Sir Catelyn de Wolf comes and goes as they please. So a little bit about our game tonight. This is, as I said earlier, a storytelling/adventure game built in 4 segments, which begins with a dramatic event that is going to rock our houses, and then we'll go into a storytelling consent-based game masterless minigame, which occasionally I'll join as a non-player character. But the game begins with a tarot reading. And the card is the 6 of Cups. And let's see. Yes. And it's going to impact House Lion. Rawr.
Odo.
I know. So what does this mean? And this is going to be inner house conflict.
Again?
Again?
Not multiple houses, but inside the house itself. Inner.
Not
inter. Apologize for my enunciation. I'm from Virginia. So this is God save the colonies. So this card represents nostalgia, innocence, childhood. There is a childhood friend of Chev Ophelia, who has gone. Essentially, they have decided that they are going to lead. In fact, they have been commanded by order of the crown to leave and go into the Marmoors to deal with the rising tension that has occurred between the Church of the Sun and the pagan faiths of the swamps. So if you recall, last time we played, there was this rising religious tension between those of the Church of the Sun and many members of House Wolf, the ancient tribes, etc., that live in the swamp region where the old ways are practiced. And your childhood friend from House Lion has gone off into the swamps to help broker a deal. Chef Ophelia, I'd like you to roll a 10-sided die. Let me know if you get odds or evens.
Even.
Okay. When they came back and you met with them, they came back and they appeared to be changed. A changed person. And they let you know that great tensions are rising. To the point where it's not even so much tension anymore. It's almost open war in the swamps. Except the state will not call it war. They are doing nothing to sort of squelch the growing violence. Your childhood friend, who we will name, going off of my beautiful list of names, Ailmond. I'll write it here. Ailmond. Ailmond turned to hard drink and essentially long rest, and is considering forsaking the order of House Lion. And this is something that you are dealing with internally. But there's great tension occurring inside House Lion about what to do of young Ailmond, as well as the growing inquisition that is occurring in the Marmors. In fact, it is said that large numbers of those that have lived there have gone up to the Golden Wood, have fallen towards the Middle Country, have fled south to Sutmarch and surrounding regions. And essentially, there is they are essentially doing what they can to get out of the Marmors. They're going south to Murbank. And the church itself is establishing what appears to be, they call it a temple. Ailmond described it as a stronghold that they were denied entrance. They said as he did not know the words, the tokens, the signs, he was not worthy to enter into that house and investigate. And as though he came as a representative of the crown, his authority was not recognized. So that is our dramatic event that has occurred. With that, one of our players now, in fact, this week it'll be Pro Restarter, gets to choose a narrative game, and we'll sort of set up and frame this game, which all or some of our players may participate in.
Oh man, I had an idea of what I wanted to do, but now hearing this, I kind of want to change it.
Right. So you can go with what feels right.
So is this event? Well, it would be known because my church is there. We have a temple there, very dutiful temple. Okay, then yeah, I think I want to do reunion instead.
Let's do that.
And I'd like to have Ophelia be that.
All right. So the way this game works, you're beating each other now after not having seen each other for some time. This is about a year later after you defeated the Solar Empire slavers. So you're all a little older, and things have happened. So between yourselves, choose where you'd like to be meeting and under what circumstance. So there's some options in the game.
Okay.
On page 20.
Yeah. I think see. So the the setup right for our reunion. I think what are you thinking, Ophelia?
Given the situation of my child,
I said because I think people have to agree on the meeting before it goes ahead.
So if I may offer up one option, given the situation with Island here, if I'm that concerned about him, and I have like Orphelia and Sir Danielle, they have met. They have gone on this adventure together. I think it might make sense if we go with the option that's I came to you in secret against my family's warnings, to try to figure out what's going on with that temple. Is one option. If you have something else in mind, I'm also.
I like that actually. No, I like that. I totally like that.
Yeah, and I also I kind of like it if it's the sort of thing where you didn't know I was coming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. I'm down for it.
Okay. Okay, so then let me look at the rules for how this game works. But do we just start with like we set the scene and it just begins?
So we set the scene. In fact, all of us can participate in this. So all of us can ask for details of the location and the circumstance. First, determine exactly where you're meeting. So go ahead and state that very clearly for myself.
Well, I guess that's kind of up to Sir Danielle. What are you doing when I catch you by surprise? If you didn't know I was coming, if I'm even able to catch you by surprise, which could also be a fun thing.
I think there is like a quiet space that I have, and it is a rose garden that I take care of, and like I kind of like garden and stuff, and it's like this beautiful like rose garden with like a little pond and whatnot, and I'm probably there. And like you probably like sneak in. Maybe it's at like night, I think, right? Like when the moon walks.
How are you dressed, and how do you appear to Chev or Ophelia as you are in the garden? What is your attire?
I think my garden is like one of my safe spaces. So I think I'm in a very like deep lavender kind of clothing. My hair is like tied back. You know, because it's a moonlit walk. So after this, I probably would retire for rest, and I probably have like a goblet of wine, and I'm just enjoying the splendor that our Lord gives us bounty with.
All right.
But I think what happens is you are walking through this garden, and if there's like a central location, like some sort of centerpiece here that you would normally gravitate towards, I think you come across a figure sort of lounging very casually where she's very much not supposed to be.
I love it.
If that works for you. Is
Yeah,
there like a fountain or something? Like what would Sir Danielle have as like the centerpiece of their fancy rose garden?
I think there's a water fountain that is just entwined with like vines and like foliage, but the vines all have intricate lacings of just like vibrant red roses around them, and the water is just like sparkling, like the purest, like most tainted water you could ever see.
So how does Chev or Ophelia appear to Sarah Danielle when you have come across each other and your reunion begins?
She's standing there and kind of actually looking into this fountain. She's not actually looking at them, or she's mostly just looking kind of like pensively at this beautiful fountain. But she's not in full armor. She is in what like very well put together traveling clothes almost, but she very clearly is displaying a sword at her hip. And she does appear to the trained eye a little tense.
All right. So now you conduct the reunion, and at any point, those of us that have narrative points can spend them to impact the scene and force the playing of tarot cards that might spice it up a little bit. Likewise, Sarah Danielle can go first and ask the counterpart an opening question. Then Orphelia will answer freely. Then choose one question to ask you. The opening question is listed in the game, and it is, when did we last see each other? And so you ask the question, and then you go into reunion questions back and forth until the game ends or it turns into a different game.
So Danielle is kind of walking, enjoying the atmosphere of like nature, and I think as they kind of walk around to the centerpiece, I think the atmosphere, like the crickets, they just like stop, and I see you, like kind of like shocked, and I'm just like, Chev Ophelia the Lion, your presence was unexpected. And I like look at you, seeing that you're tense. My, you seem to have a weight on your shoulders. I cannot remember when last we spoke. And that's me asking the question.
Okay. Ophelia pauses for a moment and then turns over her shoulder and makes very firm eye contact with Sir Danielle. She kind of shakes her shoulders. Yes, well, it seems you've been rather busy this past year. I do apologize for my unannounced presence, but, well, there's some subjects for which formalities can simply get in the way. So let me look at this list of questions. This is the point where I ask a question. Sorry, learning how to play the game.
You can, yeah. That's exactly how this works. So, what you can do is you can ask a reunion question.
Okay.
When did we last see? When did we last see each other?
Yeah. In terms of like doing this above table, I think it might. If you've been so Sir Danielle has been kind of coordinating this Inquisition, correct? Like this whole.
They have been issuing a more stronger religious front. So yeah, basically.
Okay. Meanwhile, I think Orphelia has probably been closer. She's probably been sticking around in Capital, dealing with the situation with the taxation and issues that were closer to the crown. So it might actually have been back when Sir Danielle left, like back in when they went on that mission from last session.
Oh, okay.
Unless you think differently, if there was some other event they would have seen each other, some sort of like key sending off.
I mean, nothing that was like memorable, but probably some, just like a gala, a meeting, a theater show. But if that was like our last like key moment, then I would probably say like, yeah, then like that when we were fighting the interlopers.
Yeah. Okay. Pardon me as I look at the list of reunion questions and try to find one that fits here.
When in doubt, improvise if needed.
Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I'm looking at the list of reunion questions. Nothing quite fits with the current situation, so I'm going to...
So here's another way to reframe it as well. What is your goal for the scene?
Well, so in Orphelia's case, it's more to figure out what's going on with this this temple and this Inquisition down in the south, because it sounds like there's been some sort of disconnect between the houses there. I am curious to see if there's any sort of angle that Sir Danielle has here, though, since.
Do you ask him directly, or do you try to get on his favor? How do you what method do you use to get this information out of him? And then whatever your answer to that is, play it out.
Oh boy! Oh, okay.
I know, right?
Okay. All right. Well, this is Ophelia. So,
I mean, you stuck in.
yeah. Okay.
Everyone's favorite lion.
Okay. In that case, I think Ophelia just straight up. She approaches, and reaches the point where it would be socially acceptable to like pause and have a normal conversation, and then passes that point. And I like to imagine she's probably like a solid like 4 inches shorter than Sir Danielle is, but she stands up on her tiptoes and tries to get all up in their face. Not in a violent sort of way, but in a this sort of way.
Mm-hmm. What level now?
Yeah, because I am quite curious as to what you are up to down in the marshes, and you will tell me this instant.
They look at you and just say, "Your pride has certainly gotten to you, dear lion."
There's no need for subtlety. There is no need for lies. I simply wish for the information.
They look at you. They cock their head to the side and stare at you and take a sip of wine.
It's
Not bothered.
important. And she tries to put her hand on their shoulder. Do they let her?
Yeah. Tell me, Ophelia, why is it so important that you would sneak into an eagle's rose garden, a voice of the church, and act so undignified?
Why does everyone care about dignity so much? I'm just trying to help the people I care about.
So am I. That is why I am bringing the Lord to those who see fit to squander their bounty. Heathens do not deserve forgiveness, as we have already seen last year. Or have you forgotten, Ophelia?
She kind of looks to the side and smiles. Well, if your mission is so important, why do you not allow for the lion's help? What do you don't want us to see?
I think Marcy wants to add something.
I do. I actually want to spend a narrative point because I am hoping to make his what's the word I want to put here? Church revolution a little harder to swallow for everyone. So what do I spend?
So you can spend any 2 narrative points from any of your pools, just 2, and then I play a tarot card, and I played the 5 of Wands, which I'm
going to spend out of passion because I've grown colder.
All right, so conflict, tension, competition, the 5 of Wands. There is a direct conflict with House Eagle. There is a movement in a growing sense of purpose for House Eagle that they are in fact not only those that curate the royal line, that they shall ascend to the throne when Rosary the Antillier passes stewardship on to the next member. In fact, there is much talk and a feeling in ancient records that have revealed that House Eagle really is, in fact, the true royal line, which is why they've curated it. Obviously, the gods favored them. In fact, there is much mention. My question for Sir Danielle, is it you yourself they seek to put on the throne, or someone you know?
It is me, myself.
That's all right. Keep that in mind when we hand out tags. They are apparent. Oh my god! There's an earthquake over here. Earthquake!
Play my hands, session 2.
So that happens. So it is then that you notice, Sir Danielle, describe the crown you have begun to wear as a sign of your future ascendancy to throne that is now reflecting the light of the moon.
I think it is not... They haven't stated it to be a crown. More of a battle and fashion headdress. That is this like natural woven lattice of just like blues and purples and reds that kind of culminate into like a rose symbol at the center.
It is then that two liaisons and what we will call groomspeople come out, and Jess and Poisel, you both can portray the roles of these individuals, and your names are, in fact, they're coming to support Sir Danielle, the heir apparent to the throne. Their names are Estold and Valentina.
Estold?
Dibs on Valentina.
All right, I'm Estold then.
My lord, what can we do for you?
So we're coming out to just be the entourage of Sir Daniel.
Yes, you are joining them in the garden.
I think I carry a chilled flagon of wine to refill Sir Daniel's cup, and have a couple extra in my other hand to see if Sir Daniel wanted to offer to their guests.
Thank you. The wine is for guests, so our visitor will not have one. As they have not been invited.
You mean to say they show up unannounced?
Unexpected, yes. But I am benevolent in all things, as I wish to reflect the Lord that I serve. So I will tell you what you came for, as you so abruptly came to meet me.
We are always ready, sir.
Thank you. I know. And Danielle will put like a hand on their shoulder and like slink it away ever so slowly. It has been shown to me that we need our shores protected and our people's minds protected. And that our current situation last year showed that that was not the case. We were too busy having banquets and feasts, squabbling about taxation, rather than our souls of the citizens and the threat the heathens truly pose. Slavery, cannibalism, possibly spies. That is what I am doing. Serving the people as you said you were.
Now, I have a question. Yeah, go ahead.
I have a question about my friend. So when he came back changed, was this did it seem to be a result of simply like the conflict down there, or was it something more fundamental than that?
Here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to roll a die and let me know if it's odds or evens, because that the fates will decide. Let me know.
Even.
It is more fundamental. Things were done to them. Things were done to Ailmond. Things Ailmond is not comfortable talking about. Maybe they would talk to you about them in private, but they would not speak openly.
Okay. And maybe I've been operating on the scene off a incorrect assumption then. These things were done to them by the outsiders or by the heathens or by our own church?
You would have to ask Ailmond, and they are not there.
Gotcha.
You don't have
so
that
that's
knowledge
something
yet.
I would have. Gotcha. Okay, that changes things.
Well, it didn't exist until now. This is a prepless GMless game. It exists now.
Yeah, which is it's interesting with the political aspect of that, as that changes everything.
Yeah, we started this scene in a beautiful rose garden. Now we have an usurper to the throne, 2 hitch creatures, and at that point, Marcy enters as Lady Beatrice, your mentor, who is also a member of House Eagle, and has found you all there. So, Marcy, you are welcome to join the scene.
Lady Beatrice enters. Says nothing. Looks between you. I'm sorry, did I come at a bad time?
Perfect, actually.
Orphelia, for the first time this entire scene, Orphelia actually looks a little bit kind of like kid who got caught with her hand in the cookie jar kind of situation. I was just leaving, actually.
Don't stay, please.
Oh, well, if you insist. And she, at that point, walks over and takes one of those flagons of wine. That sounds like I'm a guest to me. And so at this point, she kind of looks to Beatrice. Looks to Beatrice.
Kind of taken aback, but lets the wine pass.
Just getting up in your plot, messing up your power structures.
So I have a question. Does this evolve into a different game? So there's several games that this could become. And we can discuss those. So you continue with an animated disagreement where you argue causes against each other and the audience votes on the outcome. It becomes a conversation over food where you all just start eating. That was the game we played last week. We ask some questions, make some comments over things. Do you meet sword to sword? Are you going to duel each other? There's no dice rolling in that, but you do settle it with a conflict of arms. I don't think you two are going to sneak off and start smooching each other, though you can play stealing time together in a non-smooching way. You just spend it as a time. Yeah, it's like, all right, F it. Long live the queen. Long live our liege.
It's our own kingdom.
Or you can suggest, or you can simply end the scene by describing it how it is. You talk together comfortably, you talk politely, or you interact unfriendly and chill and part quickly. Whatever you choose.
kind of love the idea. Oh, good.
I want Beatrice to steal time away with Orphelia. I think word of Orphelia's I don't want to say break in, but her presence here and the hubbub that she's causing with Sir Daniel has gotten around, and Beatrice is coming in to sort of act like a mediator, take her for a walk around the gardens, and try to convince her, hey, what we're doing in the marshes is really good. You should try it sometime. Come with us.
Oh, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Hey, babe, come on.
That kind of thing. Like they're playing good cop, bad cop with
This poor child.
Devious.
Now, it is important to note that Lady Beatrice is a knight of capital and not an ordained arm of the church. With that said, their religious leanings are their own private religious leanings. So does the group consent to have Marcy and M play out a stealing time together scene as Beatrice and Orphelia? That's perfectly fine as well. Likewise, stealing time together, knights can interrupt at any time during that liaison. Chev Antimony might show up, or Sarah Catalinda Wolf, and be like, I heard there was going to be a dance tonight, and Sarah Daniel stood me up.
Actually, everyone has been trying to sneak into this garden. Like, this is a regular occurrence.
Regardless of how you end it, Sir Daniel can advance a point towards crown. Chev Orphelia would receive also a point towards crown. And the rest of you at any points can reintroduce Estold, Valentina, or Beatrice into a narrative. Likewise, but I'm curious how you as players want to segue to either another narrative game, because you still have time in our narrative mode, or do you simply want to end the scene and propose a new game altogether?
I like the stealing time because it could always roll off into something else afterwards, or someone could come in or something like that.
Yeah, at any point they can interrupt during that game. So it sounds like we're going to move to stealing time together. So this game, Marcy is leading it as Lady Beatrice. Are you stealing time just sort of elsewhere in the Rose Garden, or elsewhere sort of, we could say that House Eagle has a beautiful estate here in Capital with gardens. There's Sarah Daniel's private garden. It may be that every member of House Eagle has their own garden, and there's different types of gardens or places of beauty. It's part of their tradition that they learn to take care of things and to beautify things and to groom things as they show the royal line. And at this point, you must decide if this liaison is illicit in any way, and if so, what might happen if you are discovered. Meaning, if Chev Antimony or Sir Cataline or even Sir Daniel comes back, could have impacts. So I'll let you sort it out. And the rules to this game are on page 31 in our rulebook. And so essentially decide a goal for the scene, then ask each other sort of how do you look to each other and what's your mood. And then you conduct the liaison conversing naturally. And then at any point you can make an overture. And again, this does not have to be a romantic scene. So where are you? And Marcy, since you initiated the game, you have more control over it.
Oh yeah, we are in a place of solitude. It's away from the main garden, but I feel like if all of these estates are connected, they are connected in a hedge maze of sorts. And so I'm taking her through the hedge maze.
All right. So you may now conduct this scene together and converse naturally, and at any point introduce overtures. Likewise, there's a couple of other interruptions where you get to decide if you're interrupted. And I believe at any point a knight can simply barge in.
Beautiful. So Beatrice leads you into the hedge maze. This hedge maze in particular. Where do we start? In spring?
You can start in whatever season you'd like. It's simply a new year.
I see. Understood. It's early summer, so it's still a little bit cool in the mornings and the evenings, and the greenery has not grown completely over the hedge maze. So as you walk through and as Beatrice leads you through, whenever you kind of look to the left or right, you can kind of see through it a little bit into these secret alcoves that don't usually get opened up until later in the year. And she takes you to one of these secret alcoves in which a small tree is growing, a sapling, a magnolia. And she goes, it suffered in the cold, as she traces the bark and some wrappings that they made where the bark has split from winter months. But with some care and love and good soil, it will do well. Don't you agree?
Ophelia kind of walks up next to them and touches the tree also. Well, I suppose. I wish it hadn't had to suffer, though.
Well, sometimes not being in the right place can make something suffer.
Thank you, by the way, for back there.
For what?
Surprise!
Oh.
It's didn't expect to see me, I expect.
No, not at all. I was hardly dressed for it.
Well, I did always try to keep you on your toes. That's what you always said, at least.
It's true. It's true. I'm glad you came. You're strong. But sometimes things change for a reason.
There's still such thing as bad change. And recently, it has felt so very bad. If you can tell me, do you believe what they're doing down there is just? Because right now I can't see it.
I must work in the way that my house functions. And that when we come out on the other side, we will be able to be just.
Ophelia, at this point, turns away. That's just an excuse.
We all must play.
Don't justify the end.
We all must play the game. Play without rules and you won't rule.
I can't believe that winning's the only thing that matters. I'm sorry you disagree. Oh, yes? Oh boy.
Is going to step outside of one of the hedges, just strolling around, looking up at the moonlight, hands behind her back. And she casually says, "Change is a tide that's ever present, and if you do not go with it, you will be swept away with all of the destruction, little one."
Ophelia.
Now is not a time to be so tied up in morality. You are young, much life to live. Listen to the atelier, the house is done.
Oh, it's Beatrice right now.
Oh, fuck,
Ooh,
sorry.
but
Wait, plot twist.
Yeah.
I just stared at her again, like, I've been so, like, mentally trained to be
Yeah,
like,
Ophelia reaches over and removes the mask, Scooby-Doo style.
Yeah, the mask comes off. It's been Rosary the whole time.
Yeah. I think at this point it's been a year, and like as it's Sarah Catalan, right? That's who is walking in. Like as you burst in, this is the moment where Beatrice is about to divulge what happened in that encampment. And as soon as you walk in, she shies away from it. And this is more or less why she's jumping onto this tide, is not because of her religious leanings. Those are touch and go. She wants to punish people like them. But yeah, she's just about to say it, and then this happens.
Don't worry, don't let me interrupt. You are safe here.
I have a question for Sir Cataline.
Indeed.
When you led the people of the Marmors and whooped the church's butt to defend your people back on your homelands, how many members of the church did you kill? Because in the fiction, Sarah Cataline would be a defender, not only captain of the knights, defender of the old ways, the ancient tribes. If you were to go there today, there's a good chance Sarah Cataline would be leading the army against you in the church. It is their people back there. So
I did what I had to. Though Sir Daniel makes me question things in terms of the religion. There might have been an exorbitant amount of bloodshed.
all right, just wanted to know. Apologize for interrupting. Sir Cataline, captain of the knights. This is important to note too, that Sir Cataline is there. They are the captain of the knights, who all knights must show some form of respect to. They don't have to, but there might be consequences for that sort of behavior.
How unexpected is it for Sir Cataline to be here?
It's about as expected as you being there, so I'd say quite unexpected. Everyone's like, did you let anyone into the Eagle's Nest these days? Like, Kevin Timoney's like leaning on a tree reading a book. This is just my quiet,
I was
really
thinking of interrupting the scene to be like reading a book.
You're there reading a book.
Please do. Shev and Timoney's actually just been observing everything that's happened here.
If I interrupt, what if I was there with Sir Catalan, like we were having a conversation separately and wondering through. This is just like this is between multiple estates, and so it's more like it's less like the Eagle's Nest, or this part is more like a public park. This hedge mage. Hedge maze. You know what?
That works.
Describe what you were conversing about before you mysteriously arrived in the night.
What are your
Might
thoughts,
be related to the traumatic
Captain?
event. Yeah.
I imagine Sir Cataline is drawn to the hedge mage and just wanted to show you a quiet place to keep yourself at peace when you study. And casually strolling through, I make mention that as much as I've traveled in the world and I find my comfort in true nature taking its own course. I find something interesting about the evil's hedge mage here. They preen the nature, control it to its will, and there's so many dead ends. Occasionally beautiful treasures if you come to the right spot at the right time.
Indeed. I can see the appeal, the design, the structure. There's a hand at work here, although some would say it is divine. It is. I see the hand of the gardener more, the design of the people. And Sir Chev Antimony is reading a leather-bound tome, smaller, probably a little bit more of a recent print on a book called A Discourse on the Ethics of Faith.
I would probably have stolen a glance at this book and tried not to look intrigued. And I just nod in your direction, and I look at you and say, Chev Antimony, what draws you to study such books? There's so much to see in the world. What takes your attention in those prints?
An understanding of what drives people, what drives those who seek reprieve from the world in faith, in what that can mean for our kingdom as we grow. I think it is important to not only understand ourselves, but to understand others.
In the past, I was certain that faith was a mask of weakness, something to hide behind, something to blind you from what is just. But there are certain things I look at now and wonder if it could also be a source of strength.
I think it doesn't have to be one or the other. It can be both. It is, I think, more and more these days, not a signal to what is just or unjust, but a conviction for those who want to justify what is just and unjust.
I loathe morality being so gray.
Hark, I hear others in the hedge.
Indeed.
And it is then you come
I will
across.
be the arbor.
So what's so you have now all stumbled upon and have encountered these individuals. So now you have. I'm curious. What's Chev Beatriz? We've been referring to her as Lady Beatriz, but she's also known as Chev Beatriz. She is, in fact, a knight with the title. What's sort of her response and mood towards her captain and the architect and liberator showing up? These are titles and nicknames that some of these other knights are known by.
She stops being at ease, retains a structure, and cuts the personal stuff.
And for physical things, since the year has passed, Chev Antimony's hair is still well taken care of, but it has grown a bit longer. It is just a little bit past their ears, less close cropped now.
And so I'd like Pro, go ahead and describe sort of how this scene ends, and then I'd like Chev Orphelia, and it'll actually come from one of Marcy's pools to pass a narrative point to both Antimony and Cataline. They interrupted, so you're just passing. This is sort of like you're passing food at a table. It's not permanently damaging to your characters. It's just since you're interrupted, the way the game works is you pass the scene over. But I'd like Pro to sort of narrate the end to this liaison.
So I think how the liaison kind of ends is Beatrice and Ophelia, they act kind of like upright and kind of mask what they were talking about and enjoy polite kind of cordial conversation. And I think it's kind of played off as a nighttime kind of philosophical training session, because you're still the kind of teacher of Ophelia, and I think that kind of allows you to kind of excuse yourselves, where you're able to kind of finish the conversation, perhaps in a hurried rate, and kind of get that last point across before the kind of parting ways, while the others perhaps may notice a twinge of deception about the two. I think that's kind of how it ends.
And now we're going to award some tags, and the tags will go around to our essentially our knights who are in the scene specifically. Now, for Chef Beatriz, Beatriz essentially also gains an extra tag. I'm giving... I don't want to give her Usurper. She gets... essentially, I'm going to put Vendetta. She has a Vendetta. And she also gets a... she's moving up to level 2 because Beatriz has been in multiple scenes. So she's rising up as an NPC that has more impact when she appears in scenes. For Ser Danielle, you are the heir apparent. So this is a tag that is awarded to you. You are seen by a number of people as the potential heir to the throne. There is a large number of people in the kingdom that, should you claim the crown, would support you. Now, other people think that's totally ridiculous. They don't. They just don't see it. However, it is an open topic for debate in many a tavern throughout the land royal. Chev Orphelia. You currently have Lion's Heart and True Friend. I'm going to give you as well, sort of in line with this, going to add Truth Speaker as a tag to you. When Chev Orphelia speaks, it is taken as the truth. So if there's a disagreement between people, could be NPCs, it could be other knights, eyes will turn to Orphelia to get the answer in that situation. Sarah Cataline, you get the tag War Hero. You're viewed as a war hero, particularly in the Marmors. But there's people, they're like, should there be a challenge that people might point out, she is very good at killing. You know, it's like, well, careful. She has a sword. We all have swords. No, she's got a real one. So there's just sort of this impression where a fight may end before you ever draw your blade. There may be people that surrender. And Chev and Timony, I want you to receive the tag Renowned Scholar, as in it's getting to the point where I feel almost like there are papers being circulated, the Antimony papers. It's almost as if there's a small following of people that have sort of gathered to just listen to you talk. They're kind of like informal lectures. This is sort of like there were authors in the 60s that might just hang out at a bar on a college campus and people would kind of gather around, just listen to them converse. Similar. Delmore Schwartz was one of them, very influential to bands like the Velvet Underground, etc. So there are these poets and authors. So with Chev Antimony, there's the Antimony papers. People are beginning to listen to Antimony when Antimony speaks. They're beginning to write down the things you say. They're beginning to sort of circulate them, or leave them little places, and that's sort of what's perpetrating through the kingdom. But alas, the clocks of revolution, war, and inquisition have advanced. A group of people have come to capital. They were turned away. They were from the Marmors. They were an ancient family, once viewed with great dignity, but over maybe the past decade, they've been viewed more in infamy. They were known less than a generation ago they made an attempt for the throne and the crown. They, in fact, made an attempt on Rosary's life. They failed. The family was disincorporated, publicly humiliated, and chased back into the swamps where they crawled out of. No offense, Sir Cataline. And that is an issue. So there is a growing issue when they heard of this family. The family is not of Wolf, but they are a similar family. What shall we name them?
Damn huskies. Good question.
They used to have a better name. Now they're just vultures.
The vultures. The vultures. No, they are the Reka. The Reka. No, they are the Reka family. That's not it.
Are you looking for them?
They are the Halaz family. The Halaz family. I'll leave it here in chat. Yes, and Cataline and Antimony's narrative scores should have changed in that scene. And in fact, what should happen is Orphelia should pass a point to Cataline, and I'd like Rosary to pass a point to Chev Antimony for many of your pools.
I think, and this is the Crown, Passion, Glory is the narrative. Yeah. Okay. I'm actually. Remind me again what Crown is in general, other than like the obvious.
Influence over the crown and the amount of respect you are viewed with and authority in political situations.
Okay.
If you're attempting to get someplace, and there's guards, say in capital, high crown score, say 6 or higher. Those guards are just like, I don't stop Chev Orphelia. She's lying. We could get in trouble. Other knights might try to stop you. The guards will not. They know better.
Okay. I think that makes more sense than Passion or... Oh, no, Glory might make more sense, actually, in this case. I'm going to give Sir Cataline a point of glory, then.
All right. And what point shall go to Chev Antimony?
Is that me doing that?
No, it'll go from Marcy.
All right.
To Chev Antimony?
Mm-hmm.
I will give Chev Antimony a point of glory.
Glory, glory, Chev Antimony. Sorry, I promise not to do that again. And so, there is this treatment of the Halaz family by the crown. They were rejected. In fact, they were denied entrance into the city capital altogether. They were coming to petition for their people. Yes.
To be clear, Rosary stood outside the gate herself and kept directing them to open the door. No, close the door. Just open it a little bit. Close it.
Oh no!
It was very becoming.
Separate the family members. Oh no! What shall you do? We have your servants. How would you like to work
No,
for
we're
us
serious.
now?
We'll open the door this time. Just come back.
Oh my god.
You're horrible.
This is what they tried to kill me. I don't care.
That's
I was like 12 at the time.
Perfect.
Who did in the House of Friends? But alas, the clocks of Inquisition have also advanced, and they've advanced to a very outward state. Alas, it has gone so far to almost be outright holy war, and so you know now the line has clearly been drawn between the ancient tribes, and they call themselves the missionaries. They're not quite that at this point. They're almost like a holy army, and they have gone out. They have set up their strongholds. They've taken lands. They've chased many of the House Wolf and ancient tribe members, and alas, so you must decide now which conflict to go to. Do you want to quell the growing rebellion of those that cry out for better treatment of the Halaz family? Or do you want to ride out and put an end to the Inquisition that's occurring in the Marmors?
Question. The Inquisition, is it following the same faith as Sir Daniel?
100%. Church of the Sun.
Okay. I am the conflicted.
You follow a different faith? How dare you?
Just asking.
My vote, at least, is that we deal with the Inquisition and the Marmors.
Surprising nobody. So is Orphelia's vote is there also.
The halal seem like chump change to me, so it's like not that huge of a deal.
I think it is. I think we should deal with them.
I probably would have a conversation with Sir Daniel.
So, who has the most crown points right now?
Right now, Chef Orphelia.
Chef Orphelia has the final say. If she has the most.
Then we're taking care of that Inquisition.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, the Queen, Entelier, she's sitting in her throne room, reading over some things, some stuff that her spies have brought back to her from all over the country. And then she reads a little bit more, and then she reads a little bit more, and she's like, House of the Sun, what is this? Why is there an Inquisition? It's just like...
Wait a minute.
Yeah, I definitely.
And so it was.
She's like, Catalan!
All right. So it's important to go out and investigate and determine exactly what that means. Now, there is an issue. So when you go off to solve these quests and these problems, there are a couple things that impact that. The position of the clock and a roll of a 10-sided die. This current Inquisition is a challenge of 12. Let me give you a comparison. The Solar Empire was a challenge of 4. Most things, if you have 4 points, you spend 3 points from your pool and roll a 10-sided die. 4 or higher, you beat them. This Inquisition is a challenge of 12 right now. This is a very dangerous quest. There's a chance one of you might die, and so your story will be told through song and legend for all time. With that said, there's also a good chance that you live. So think about how you use your tags. Think about how you manage your adventuring pools. And now we set the stage. As you approach the edge of the Marmors, the land royal goes from a vivid green to an ancient, deadly, dying, decayed look. Much of the wildlife here has left. You can see large portions of the swamp have been just cut down, burned down. As you ride into the Marmors, it's almost like a proverbial ghost town. Villages are empty. You can see where families once lived and had been forcibly marched. But I'm curious what your goals are. Is there any sort of recon you want to do? Is there any sort of sourcing you want to do? Likewise, all of your squires from your last adventure have joined you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and one new one. Estold from House Eagle is also joining.
Nice.
I have a question as well. So, is the Inquisition since it's my church's one? Are we doing the attacking, or are we being attacked?
This is what you know. The church has drawn a hard line. They have fortified position, and they have seized what I'd call ancestral lands from the people of the Marmors, and they have marched them off. They were attempting to convert all of them to the Church of the Sun. That did not go well. They wanted to keep following their ancient ways. They pronounced them all witches and began executing them publicly. Most of the members of the Marmors have fled. There is a resistance, though. There's a large contingent of House Wolf that said, look, night or not, these are our families, these are our people, we will protect them. Likewise, there is a small, there was a small group from House Eagle who, they came out because they're supposed to, guard and protect the faith. From what you hear, they're nowhere to be found. They're somewhere in the swamps, but they are clearly not with the source of the church. For what reason, you do not know yet.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, go ahead.
My question for Sir Daniel would be, what would be their feelings and thoughts about these holy army missionaries? Because that's gonna be a pretty essential for how I perceive.
It's ancient lands, right? So they've been existing alongside the church for a long time. Do I know who's like the head priest in the area, and don't know what they're like? Because then that could sway me into like knowing why. Like, is this priest like a zealot? Are they just fighting for power? Like, do I have history with that person, or do I not know them?
Okay,
we can my opinion on the matter, right?
We can establish this. So this is a test, and it's a task. So it's going to be a roll of a 10-sided die. You're allowed to spend any points you'd like before then, or exhaust any tags. And based on your result of this task, it will determine the fictional positioning of this religious leader, whether they are friend or foe, or whether you have any knowledge of them at all.
Okay. I got a 7.
Okay. Were you spending any points from Crown, Passion, or Glory? Any of them?
Yeah, I'll probably spend one from Passion.
Okay. So that bumps it up to an 8. And are you exhausting any tags?
No.
Okay. This is what you do know. This individual is not only are they on bad terms with you, they have spoken publicly about the false crown upon your head, to the point where when you show up at the swamps, you see wanted posters for Sarah Danielle kind of posted, and they've drawn you in almost like a caricature mocking way, and there's horrible phrases like pluck the rose or more thorns than petals, and just horrible things that they're stating about you. And this individual is known as they are Suzerain Claude. So Suzerain being a title, and they call themselves.
Show you who's a Claude.
Clads.
So then, since I know this, then so Daniel is seeing this, as he is as they are one of the higher ups in the church, one of the knights, is purely seeing this as a political run. This is them trying to use the guise of the church to simply gain more ground, and by using the ancestral faith of this area to legitimize their crusade. So they are against it.
I smell corruption.
This isn't something. This isn't something that you would endorse. This is beyond the church. This is fanaticism. This is an offshoot sect of whatever existed in Capital and maybe the Middle Country. Today's
tend to your garden.
Yeah, this is what happens when you don't tend to your garden. That's a good thing. Yeah. So this is clearly the work of His Grace Claude, Pontinate of the Church. And you have uncovered who is in charge. Now I've added one of our clocks to our screens, but it's quite a bit more sides than the last time.
Danielle would vie to take as many of the flock and even some of the clergymen back to see if they can be reinitiated into the true teachings of the Lord. Rather than having senseless bloodshed, as there is no honor in killing those who are simply misguided in the true faith.
I have an idea.
Yeah, go ahead.
They like the sun. Let's send them to the desert.
How does one send an entire inquisition, a holy war, to the desert?
By telling them they need to be there.
All right. So there's a couple challenges. First, so here's some problems you'll have to overcome, and I'll name a few of them. The first thing you have to do is you have to convince what we'll call non-fanatical members of the church to go, influential members. And people might be able to influence them beyond House Eagle. You can draw upon your house resources as needed. Likewise, then in order to tell them to go, you would have to gain access to them. They're currently in a heavily guarded fortification that you have not yet located in the swamps.
Have we found any establishments of actual villages or anything out here in the Marmoors that are not unoccupied.
You have found 7 unoccupied, and you have just now come across your first occupied village. There are 3 holy defenders at the door. These are sort of like the foot soldiers of the faith. They're standing guard, and they've erected a large kind of like false wooden sun that is massive that they've set up in the middle of the town square. And they have several like A-frame houses. If you had to guess, there's probably about 30 or 40 people that live here.
Before, when we are outside of town, when we see that we come across, when we see a bit off that there is an occupied village, Antimony is going to step aside with their one of their personal attendants, one of their squires, Archipe, and I'm going to switch clothing, like overdress, with Archipe. And Archipe is going to ride Antimony's horse and be for outside appearances to be Antimony. Antimony will be in Archipe's cloak and be down on the ground walking, so that when we do enter the village, Antimony can move out, not being seen as a knight, and to attempt to gather information within the village.
Yeah, and Archipe sings that song they always sing, "If I could walk like Antimony, flock like Antimony." They just swamp dress. Yeah, they're riding valiantly. They are stopped at the gate. It looks like they're going to deny them entrance.
Well, I was going to continue to ride with the group, but
okay, got it.
Yeah.
Got it. If the whole group's going up, 3 footmen wouldn't be able to hold you back. However, it will be a check. They kind of say, "Halt, identify yourselves." Then there's some murmuring among them. They're like, Sir Daniel, sent in the Antillier. It's kind of like Her Majesty. It is going to be a check to get in, though, and this is a test difficulty of 6. About half a usual one.
And who rolls this? Because it's the whole.
Anyone from the group can roll and decide how you want to gain entrance. The footmen aren't prepared to fight. However, they are prepared to maybe sound alarms or go back and alert people. However, depending on this interaction, you might be able to create a positioning that is more favorable to the group.
Remind me mechanically. So how do we bring that 6 down? We spend a title?
Here's how you get it. Yeah. You can spend up to 3 points from a pool, depending on the methodology that you're using to overcome the challenge. You might have some assistance. For example, you might have a squire who's a herald that can do a loud pronouncement. You might have a tag that you can exhaust and based on your position in life. And then those are things you do before you ever roll. If you don't overcome the total difficulty number, then you can roll a 10-sided die.
Okay. If the group wants, I'd be willing to spend the tag leader of the pack. Since I am well-traveled, I am familiar with the Moors, I have stake in them taking over any particular village. I would be willing to interact with them.
Okay, that sounds fair.
Makes sense.
So a tag would bring it down to 5, and then you would spend
your tag counts as 2 points, though, so it would actually bring it down to 4. However,
okay.
The fictional positioning of Sir Cataline, essentially some tasks would be considered impossible. As soon as they saw Captain of the Knights, the wolf herself, they're panicking. They've been ordered to kill you on sight. So, yes, they attempt to engage Sir Cataline. Now you all can slay them, chase them off, or do however you want with them. This is important to know, because now you know it's not safe for her to travel, and it's probably not very safe for Sir Daniel to travel as well, as he is wanted.
Okay. So now out and open. You need rogue status, Sir Daniel.
I'm going to. Am I muted? No, I'm not. I'm going to step between them and Sir Cataline and say, if treason is what you're looking for, you may come, but I warn you, stop dead in your tracks. I will make you do it. And I'm going to expend kills with a glance.
All right, kills with glance. Do you want to spend any crown or passion points? Either work.
Yeah. I'll spend crown here because that's what I'm doing, is using my clout.
Okay. How many points would you like to spend? 1, 2, or 3?
I'll spend 2.
Okay. So now you can roll a 10-sided die. Well, your position of the house actually engages with this. The fact that you are Antelier is a positive bonus, so you are now up to 5 points. On a 10-sided die, going from 0 to 9, if you get a 1 or higher, you succeed. If not, you fail.
So just don't roll
1 or
0.
higher? Oh, I see.
Yeah, going from 0 to 9.
I've gotcha. I rolled a 3.
All right. They stop dead in their tracks. They sound no alarms. They kind of slink back. And
Now you will let us in, and you will offer us drinks.
And they kind of look dejected, and they're leading you in. They say, do you want to drink with the clergy or with the soldiers?
I'm going to look at Sir Daniel, because this is their church.
The clergy might be best.
Thank you. The clergy.
They bring you in. There is a dejected clergyman sitting there.
At this point, as we pass through the gates, I slink off in the cloak of Archipe to go and mingle amongst the common people and see and hear what there is to hear in the village.
All right. You can roll a 10-sided die. You can use any tags or any abilities that you want. And let me know what you get. There's no set difficulty.
I'm going to use some of my points of dashing in this to move about. So I'll take I'll spend 2 points from dashing on this.
Okay.
So that is going to be 9 total. So 7 on the die.
Well, this is what you know. This is sort of their most advanced border village. There is a native of Capital who runs this town. Their name is Ambrose. Ambrose, their family would be a minor house related to Lion, but they are not a royal house at all, not by any stretch of the imagination. And from what you gather from this is they're not happy with their position here. They did not want to. They were having fun doing research, preserving records, reading of, preserving the records of the faith back in Capital. But then the church demanded that they come here, demanded that they live in people's houses that are no longer here. And they feel that this is wrong. They feel this whole thing is wrong. However, if they stand against Claude, and Claude's fortress is maybe 2 days' ride deeper into the swamps, they will be executed the same as the wolves. So, yes.
Do I find where I might be able to meet with, or where Ambrose might be staying, or where I can meet with Ambrose?
Yeah, and they kind of point over to this house that you see the Antillier, Sir Daniel, Cheverfilia, and all the squires brought into. And then, like, as soon as Rosary comes in, and Ambrose is there, small glasses, chestnut-colored hair, cut very, very short, ill-fitting robes. However, it's very plain fabric. As he sees the sort of, like, hit squad come in, he just sort of falls onto his knees. He's like, "My sweet son, forgive me!" And he's starting, like, confessing all his sins. And he's like, "And I had a crush on my cousin, Otto." And, he's just going on, and, confessing everything that's in his heart because he feels that the Reaper themselves has just walked in. Donald's like, "Man, what a dork."
Ophelia
Is
starts to
Donald
nod and
eating
catches herself.
again? Is Donald eating again?
I brought snacks.
Who were they?
Oh,
Oh.
seriously, Donald. You must never know.
Yeah,
We must never ever tell him. He can't know.
so that's essentially where we are at with this. Ambrose is on his legs, worried that you have come to slay him.
And he's a clergyman?
Yeah, he is a bishop, essentially a local leader. He would lead a local congregation. So the way the church is organized, they have what would be regional and national leaders, and they have local leaders. He is a local leader.
So I think Danielle kind of walks forward, boots stomping, and they just grab Ambrose, and they just kind of like they just heft them up against the wall, and they
I
just
bruise
kind of
easily.
they just say, "By the holy light, what have you done? What have you and your people started here? This is not the way of the faith. This is not honorable or just. This is an occupation."
Yes, it is an occupation. It's a very good occupation. And what did you Knights of House Eagle do? You fled somewhere into the swamp. I got pulled in. From Capital. Do you think I want to be here? Oh, I'm so sorry. Your Grace, as he looks at the crown on your head, and then his eyes kind of look over at the Antillier. Oh no.
Do you think I want to be here?
Well,
Pray tell, why do you think I'm here?
I think you're here with an army. I think you're here to slay every last member of the church. I would prefer a peaceful resolution. The faith has always preached that peace is the way, and he has these various beads, that he's kind of stroking, and he's just like pulling Holy Writ out of his pockets and using them to wipe his forehead, which is sweating, which he realizes is sacrilege, and he's left words on his forehead. He's really panicky. He's really, really panicky.
At around this point, Intimity slinks back in with the other squires, just kind of moving back into the crowd.
And you have so convinced the other squires, they think you are Arquipe. Like, they don't think you're Antimony at all. They don't realize you're really in disguise. The knights, should they want to discover you, it would be a check to do so, but that's how well your disguise is at this point. So they are serving drinks for you, the footmen, and they kind of set it up. And then, like, Ambrose, the Bishop of Millpond, is like, the sacramental wines! And it's just kind of like, they're like, this is not good. And, like, they're just pulling out the holy water and whatever beverage they have. And they're like, take your pick. And then there's, like, this hidden bottle of hooch that they also pull out from a cabinet. And they're like, this is stuff we made ourselves. Mm-hmm. There's many berries in the swamp.
Of course. Which one is for Sir Daniel and which one is for Sir Catalin?
The drinks? Whatever they like.
Okay. Just curious.
Oh, we would not think of poisoning that wolf. As they, point over at her. They go, no. She'd kill us before she died.
That she would.
Daniel does not drink, as his thirst and appetite have left them. And they gather up all of the clergy, and they ask each one if they have condemned any of the villagers here as heathens, and if they have condemned them to death.
There were no villagers here when we arrived. They had already been slain by the initial occupiers.
And that was
Claude,
right?
Yeah, Claude, several others. She was one of them, and they pointed Sheb Beatriz, who looks confused. She was not one of them. She was back at Capitol with you. And they made us bury them. There are mass graves outside of town.
I would suggest, my Sky, that we disband this place and deal with Cloud.
Which one is Cloud?
The Pontinate of the Church. His Grace Claude. Claude is the High Inquisitor of the Church of the Sun, who has established a fortress here in the swamps. You can storm the fortress.
Quick question, is the fortress the same as that temple that was mentioned way at the beginning of the session?
You have
Or is it a
deducted
different place
correctly.
entirely? Okay.
Well, it would have been a temple if it wasn't being used as a military stronghold.
Got that.
Understood. Yes, I agree. Although it's a whole fortress that we're dealing with. I think it might be easier to have them, and I look at this simpering milquetoast of a man, lead us in.
I do very much like to do that. In fact, yes, you.
You said yourself, peaceful resolution is the way of the church, yeah?
Holly freaking Luya, he says. His little castanets for whatever reason. Finger symbols.
Oh God. What do you think, Sir Daniel?
If you think that is the best course of action, yes, but I don't think they'd just simply allow us in knowing who we are.
True. We should dress like them.
It is at that point, 3 crossbow bolts, heavy bolts, come piercing through the windows. They hit 3 people. Do they hit squires or do they hit any knights? If they hit knights, make a roll. If they hit squires, the squires fall dead.
I will make a roll for Antimony, because Antimony is a squire right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I will... let's see.
You're going to need to beat a 12, exhausting any points you have, using any tags, and rolling a 10-sided die.
Mm-hmm.
And if you fail, it doesn't mean you're dead, but it might mean you get assigned a different tag.
Yeah. I don't think any of my tags are applicable for this. I will spend 3 of my dashing on this, because I can spend up to 3. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
and then I will expend the advantage that I got last session from
Good
chat.
stuff.
So,
Yeah, and your house won't impact this at all. So go ahead, roll 2 10-sided dice. They go from 0 to 9.
The only thing that would that I see that impacts this is like one of my attractive qualities.
Attractive qualities will also help this.
Yeah, because I am graceful. So
Got it.
I rolled an 8 and a 9, so that
You do it.
Yeah.
And it's almost one of those things. I imagine you catch the bolt mid-air and it stops. And that bolt wasn't necessarily meant for you. Was it meant for someone else? You got to decide narratively.
This bolt was going at Chevrophilia.
Mm.
Who is the second bolt going for? Is it one of you, or does it kill one of your squires? You must decide.
I think it kills the new squire that I have.
Oh, poor Estold.
Oh.
And then the last bolt.
I'm gonna take the narrative. I want to take this narrative hit, if it's okay. I want to say that the last bolt hits what would be intimidating, but it hits Archipe.
Hmm.
Oh.
Mm.
Oh. Narratively delicious. Delicious. Nice. Sweet.
Oh.
Ed. All right. So now describe how you handle this. There are would-be assassins that have rode into town. They were waiting not far out of town. They saw you coming. They saw you go in, and at this point, they have begun to set the building you are in on fire. What do you do? There are 3 of them. They're essentially burning the chapel down, which is also sacrilege.
Question?
Yes.
So they just killed the person we all currently think is Antimony, correct?
Yes. Oh, you can discern if you'd like. You can make a roll. If you get a 6 or higher, and you can spend points, you know it's not Antimony.
I kind of don't want to roll. I kind of want to think that Ophelia thinks it's Antimony.
Yeah.
Yep, same.
Yeah, I was gonna say with the moving on the chapel and this moment of adrenaline, catching one of the bolts and seeing one of them take out what would be me. I think I move quickly to like go through one of the windows that was just like broken by the bolts to get out to near one of the assassins.
Yes, as you escape, and essentially we can just go around. We'll go around clockwise. So we'll go Antimony, Ophelia, Sir Danielle, Sir Cataline, and then Rosalie, her Star of the Skies. Antimony, as you get out, you see in raven-colored armor an imposing figure. She is riding a dark horse, and she has a red sash on. She's holding a heavy crossbow. And as you crawl out the window, she is slowly, almost leisurely, loading a second bolt. That is what you see. Chef Ophelia, what do you do?
Seeing the person I think is Antimony fall, do I have any sense of where that particular bolt came from?
Yes, it came from the...
Good.
As I say, it came from the window that Archipimini, Chef Antimony in disguise, crawled out of.
Okay. I'm vaulting through that window if I can. I think actually how I do that is I actually like if Donald is nearby, I want to actually vault like off his shoulders and like power through the window that way.
You do so. You execute it perfectly. Chef Beatrice draws her sword and walks out the front door. What of Sir Danielle?
Sir Daniel, they see their squire go down as they had jumped in the way, and then there's just a look of pure rage in their face, and they go towards the door as it's kind of burning. They kick it open, and in one swift motion, they release their sword, and they look towards the first one they see and walk towards them.
This individual okay. The individual you approach is wearing flowing black robes. He carries a single mace in his hand, and he is crying out, "Heretic! Claim his head!" And he charges to meet you head on. So you meet headway. You'll have an opportunity to duel him. This is a test difficulty of 12 to kill him. You safely defend yourself on a 9 or higher in this situation. So it's going to be a roll of a 10-sided die, any tags, etc.
Yeah. So I think as they are walking, Daniel is just reciting, "As I walk in the light of the Lord, I shall fear no shadow, no heathen might. I will strike my villain and strike them right." And I'm going to use my graceful sword master as my attractive qualities, and my firebrand tag.
Okay, so a firebrand counts as a 3, so you're up to 5. Do you want to spend any points from your pools?
I think just one from dashing.
Okay, so you're up to 6. A 9, you've defended yourself and you've met sword to sword. 12 or higher, you've killed them. You also have the option to roll 2 dice since we got crit hits last time. You can take the higher of the 2.
I'll save that.
Okay.
I got a base 8. Plus the
okay, so single swipe off with his head. He never got to drop his mace. You just kind of right through the throat, spin it around, head falls, body falls, and the blood starts to pour around him. You have killed the archpriest who is riding to claim your head from your shoulders. Instead, you did that to him. Next, Sir Cataline.
Cataline would, the second the arrows had flown, like the whizzing of the sound would have alerted her, and her sword would be out instantly. And she would press forward from the closest source of the arrows.
Okay. So you would go out the same window that Chev Orphelia did. As you're fleeing the window towards the window, Ambrose, the Bishop of Millpond, is like, "Save me," and sort of reaches out. Will you take Ambrose with you?
There is a brief.
He has soft eyes.
Yeah, there's definitely a moment of hesitation, and I look at him, and knowing they will hold me back, I will allow it. This once, I will. Something is struck here in this place, and I will bring them along.
Yeah, Ambrose sort of, kind of toddles around. It's if you've ever played the video game Ico, he's sort of like follows you around. You got your horn helmet, just kind of chases you around. So you have an Ambrose following you. Ambrose is beneficial to have with you. You will get +1 on all rolls for Ambrose will alert you and also distract people. So you are out. There is that female Raven Knight who killed the false Antimony, who is finishing loading her crossbow. That leaves the Antillier still in the burning chapel. What does she do?
The Antillier is going to hoist Chev Antimony's body over her shoulder and carry it out, because Chev Antimony is a brave soul who deserves a proper burial.
Oh. My question now is, the squires that were with you, I'll sort of quickly narrate what happens. Suzerain Josa.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, Suzerain Josa, essentially, she has drawn her blade and is charging to fight side by side with Sarah Cataline, who is leader of the pack, and is prepared to, she will fight to the death if she has to. Helena and Ilona are they are essentially following behind. They've all sort of formed like a pack of wolves behind Sarah Cataline. There is a third individual. Essentially, it's just a knight in smooth black plate, who is also on a horse, who has dismounted and has drawn essentially a sword and a shield and is closing in to engage with Chev Orphelia, the wolf pack. The Antillier has sort of walked out the front door behind Sir Daniel. Donald has gone out the front door and is trying to find Chev Orphelia. Lady Beatrice as well has gone around. So you have a solid pack of knights. It is then that the Raven Armored Knight is going to launch a second bolt. This one is going to be at Sarah Cataline. So Sarah Cataline, does one of your squires fall, or do you challenge the bolt yourself?
I will not whistle and allow one of my squires to take this first hit to study her actions.
The bolt is coming right towards you. Seconds before it pierces your heart, Suzerain Josa stands between you and the bolt. She is struck dead, and before she hits the ground, all her life has left her unceremoniously. And she breathes her final breath face first in the mud.
Josa,
It is very, very sad. And with that, the knight on the sword and shield has ridden to meet Chev Orphelia, sword to sword. Does Chev Orphelia defend herself, or does she press the attack back?
She absolutely presses the attack back. She meets that strike with a roar and tries to actually drive them back.
All right, so it's a difficulty of 12 or higher to slay this knight. A 9, you will be even.
Okay. All right, so I think I will spend my tag of Lion-Hearted, if that would be appropriate.
Mm-hmm. That'll give you +3 in this situation.
Okay. Does my bold attractive quality
100% yes.
And is there a way I could work resourceful in there also? Because this isn't like an entirely just like a straight strike. This is probably also a bit of a trying to maybe like him also.
I imagine as the light pierces the canopy of the swamp, you manage to catch a little on your blade and it flashes and hits this dark rider right in the eyes. And they are for a second blinded.
Perfect. All right, so that's +5. I think I'll spend 2 points of dashing also. To bring me to a +7.
So now you need a 5 or higher. If you'd like, you can expend your crit.
I think I will. I would like to not die.
Okay.
Okay, well, that's an 8 on the first one, but...
All right,
yeah.
So describe how you kill describe how you kill the Dark Rider.
I think, okay, so actually, I think I never stopped running once I vaulted out of this window. Can we maybe say in the narrative that he wasn't actually riding in to meet me, but perhaps someone else, one of the other knights? And I
Who would you
dove
like
in.
to direct it? Yeah.
Let's say I think he was actually riding in to take out Sir Danielle. And so I imposed myself in without pausing for a second. And I think in one clear strike, I blinded him with my blade and then just ran him through.
As he falls, you can clearly see the emblem of House Eagle that was on him. He was once an Eagle Knight, but he is not garbed as an eagle. This is a relation to Sir Danielle. This is a family member.
Perfect.
My younger...
You're going to determine whoever they are. Yeah.
Were they masked? Or was the gender visible?
They were masked, but it is very clear to see exactly who they are. And it's one of those things almost, you knew who they were by the form in which they fought. And as they fall, you can clearly see through their visor who they are.
It was my little sister, Rosalie, to which I take my name as the Rose Knight.
Rosalie has fallen. Slain by Shiva Orphelia. Your sister made an attempt on your life there. And I imagine the fiction, it's a little less disjointed than that. She charged in and she fought hard, and you were defending yourself, not quite sure who it is. And at a certain point, she nearly took Sir Daniel's life when Chev Orphelia came up and ran her through. It was then that her identity was revealed. There were sort of hints at it. So I think that might be a little more dramatic and a little less disjointed. So yeah, we will put it there.
It was a start of like block, parry, block, step forward, side, and as a move I have taught her many times. I mean, she used daftly against me.
Yeah, and I imagine what clearly gave her away was there was the form, and then as you were defending, there was like a swear word that only she says, and she says often, and that's and you're like, Rosalie, and then Orpheliad, right in the Orpheliads.
Nice.
So we have
Great.
one left.
Yes.
The woman that
So
popped
yeah,
out.
there's only the single one. Now I have a question. Are you going to allow her to flee on her horse now that she sees that her side is dying? She's considering a retreat. Do you allow her to retreat and pursue, or will you fight her till she is dead?
As one of the, because Sir Catelyn is facing her, having come out the same window I did as well. I would actually, while she has her focus on Sir Catelyn, I stay close to the ground and dark cloak over my head, and using the arrow or the bolt that was fired at me that I caught, I move in to actually go in and take out the part of her, like the leg of her horse, to bring it down, and hopefully bring the horse down and crush her leg as it falls.
All right. So the difficulty to this is 12. You may expend whatever points you would like and exhaust any tags, as well as use your attractive qualities. Let me know where you're at, and then we can determine a die roll.
I am graceful for this, but I don't know whether it'd be disciplined or educated, because I want to be able to use this bolt to kind of
I'll give you both.
Mercifully kill the horse quickly to
Okay.
kind of bring the horse down on her.
I'll allow you to use both qualities in the situation.
Okay, and then I will add a little bit. I'll add 2 points of might to this. So that's 5 total. So let me roll a die. That is a 5 on the die, so I only hit a 10.
All right, so here's what happens. You manage to separate her from her horse. However, she is fleet of foot. And there is only one that could catch her, Sir Catalin de Wolf. Catalin, do you chase her down and face her in combat?
A pack allows no one to escape. I will pursue.
All right, you're going to get a +3 because you have, you're going to get a +2 because Suzerain Josa died. You're going to get a bonus +1 because you are a wolf with other wolves. So you get a +3 simply by having sheer numbers. Are there any attractive qualities that add to this?
Having seen my jolly but faithful Suzerain Josa, my drunken mastiff, fall in my sake, I would say brooding would apply here. I'm very distraught at her slaying.
Mm-hmm. And any points?
I would go for. So this is like valor, right? Or dashing.
It could be dashing or valor, depending on however you want to choose to do it. Oh, you've also got Mr. Man helping you, so you get +1. You have Ambrose, the bishop.
Right.
Who is surprisingly spry. He's like a newt hopping through the swamp. His eyes sort of roll. Yeah.
Can I spend a point of each? Or just one?
Just one.
Okay.
Up
I will go
to 3. Okay. And then, do you have any tags you want to exhaust?
This was a level 12, and I've
Yes.
got it down 5 at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I will exhaust the War Hero tag that I just got.
Okay. So that's going to add War Hero counts as 3 since you are in the Marmors. So you get 3 more. So you are at an 8.
I'm comfortable with that number.
And
go ahead. Sure.
What did you get on your 10-sided die?
Oh, that would be a 6.
All right. So do you kill her or do you capture her? It's up to you.
My emotions are running high, though I find that this person of intrigue is valuable. So I go to maim them.
Yes, and this is you overwhelm her with your sheer ferocity and tenacity. She is an expert sword master. However, you disarm her from her blade and catch her behind the knee, and she drops and essentially asks to be killed. But no, instead she is maimed. At that point, anyone else in the party can show up who would like to.
I think Antimony would have been on the heels of Sir Catelyn after taking on the horse, trying to follow Fleetfoot as well. And so you see the hooded Archipe arrive. Although I think in the running, my hood has fallen back, and so you see Antimony come up.
So she is at your mercy now. Do any of the other knights want to join in this capture?
I think Danielle is just with their sister.
I'm still not
I think Ophelia is still there, also trying to figure out what's going on. This is not the
Danielle's glaring at
reaction
you.
saving their life.
You learn that she is... go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Rosary is going back to her horse and putting Shev and Timody's body onto it.
Oh.
As this woman is begging for her life, I'm looking down at her.
She is not begging. She is actually requesting that you kill her.
Right. That yes. Okay. Sorry. As she's requesting such a merciful kill, I look down upon her and say, "Today you will not be such martyr. You deserve the worst. We need you."
Death is for the honorable.
She holds her tongue. You learn that she is Alicinda. You will say that Sarah Danielle recognizes her. She is known as the Raven's Blade. She was once of House Eagle. Then she wandered off, broke off from the house, and became a rogue knight. She has fought in 2 of the past wars. Her hair has silvered over the years, but her complexion is still young. She looks very similar to Beatrice, as much close enough to be sisters. They probably are, though they do not admit it. But she has not lowered her chin. She has sat there very proudly. What would you like to do with her? And what would you like to do with Antimody's body as well as the rest of your dead? You can narrate out the scene however you'd like to do it.
Well, with her captured, Antimony would return to the chapel, and their real appearance is now that the hood is down, and so you all can see that Antimony lives. And they would go to their squire, and
Epiketos is there, so is Dionysiodoros.
Yeah, and we mourn briefly for Archippe, and Antimony seems very dour, very heavy, but they thank the Antillier for recovering his body, and they will move outside the chapel and find a space to lay him on the ground, and a couple of the squires will find some drier wood for the area, because the dragons do not bury their dead, they burn them.
Should have just left it inside. Shev and Timothy, when you go to thank Antillier, she slaps you and then hugs you and says, "Don't do that to me again."
It is Donald who prepares the body, and this is the most somber you've ever seen Donald. And if you were to ask him why, he explains that Archippe was his friend. They were different houses, and he's like, the squires don't have many friends. Archippe was mine, though. And very delicately prepares the body, as well as Suzerain Josa's, and Donald takes care of that. Now the question is, after the burials, do you press onwards towards their fortress? What becomes of Alicinda? How do you proceed?
I have a thing.
And Rosalie,
Yeah.
you killed your sister. Yeah. Go ahead.
So, if anyone wants to stop Danielle, Danielle grabs the prisoner, drags them to their feet, drags them to the burning inn or the church, and I say to them, I just start shaking them, and I just say, why did you turn away from the light?
As you shake Alessandra, she cold clocks you with a right straight across the jaw, a trained blow. She will not allow herself to be shaken. Now, you can make a defense against this. She allowed herself to be moved, but as soon as she was shaken, she is too proud for that. So you can either take the blow, it won't cause any damage or anything like that, or you can defend and counter, catch her hand and, cause her to submit, etc. It's your call. How do you want to receive the punch?
I'll catch it.
All right. So this is a difficulty of 12.
Okay. I'm going to use my graceful, if I can. I'm going to use my dash as well, and use free of dash. So what's that put me at? So I can't remember what graceful gives me.
Graceful gives you +1.
Okay. So 4 then in total. And I think I will. I'm going. If I may, I want to. I want to do my tag multilingual. And I think I want to use it in this instance because I'm basically speaking in whatever the language of the old scripture is.
Yes.
And I'm demanding answers.
Okay.
So it's kind of like French and Polish.
Yeah, you're inquisiting the inquisitors. All right. So after you exhaust that tag, in this situation, that one would rate a 2. So you get 2 to that plus your previous total, and then roll of a 10-sided die.
Cool. Didn't go for it. Yeah. So that's 6 plus 3. So
9. She catches you. She doesn't knock you unconscious. Essentially, it hits you hard on the jaw. It feels like it loosens your teeth. They don't come out. Your mouth fills with blood, but she does not know this. You took the best Sunday punch that she had. Most people, there's a chance that blow would kill them. You can tell that she is very proud, and she respects everything you're saying. However, because of oaths she has sworn in this situation, she is doing her job. And there's that moment she notices essentially your battle headdress and the rose, and she says, "My liege." Her countenance changes. She's recognizing your authority in this situation.
I say with blood-covered mouth, "You wish to act like a heathen? Then you will die like a heathen." And I will spit my bloody contents in my mouth in her face, and I will push her into the fire of the church.
With that, she doesn't stand a chance to escape, and she sits in the church. With that, Beatrice closes the door as it burns and says, "Well, what now?" And her eyes look to the Antillier and Orphelia.
You just have to tell what kind of allegiance any of these people have.
Well, there are there are some, I hear, who wish to rise against the Ponte. They just need a figure to rise behind. They fear, there's much fear in this region. But I hear that when I look at Ambrose, I hear that you and some others have been waiting for a chance to show your displeasure with the High Inquisitor.
So Danielle will speak up then and just say, the choice is clear. We kill Claude. His acts, not only treasonous, blasphemous, and whatever rhetoric he is passing on is subverting the true teachings of the church and is causing those vulnerable to heathenism.
In this situation, who has the most passion points?
Right now, let's see. I think that is Sir Daniel.
And who has the most crown points, and what are the two values?
Sir Daniel has 9 passion, and Chevorphilia has 7 crown.
So, you have a choice. In this situation, the knights can follow their passions and ride hard as a small group with a small force here and challenge the Pontinate directly. Or you can appeal to the crown. If Sir Daniel feels that the knight should go against their passion, you have to make a check against his roll. There's no points or anything. You just roll. If you roll higher than his passion score, you as a group can pull their passion score. So if you roll higher than Sir Daniel's passion score, you can sort of reel them in as a group. However, that won't stop them from riding off on their own. So do the knights in the Antillier want to give in to their passions and ride onto the fortress and administer justice in a fiery manner? Or do you want to appeal to Chevorphilia in this situation?
The Antillier would prefer to head south to where the marsh people were taken to entreat them as an ally to march on the fortress.
And
there is an army of wolves waiting.
And Chev and Timony is too disciplined to give in to their passions in this way. It knows that it is a fool's errand to throw yourself headlong into the fortress of your enemy.
So here's how I view this in the fiction. And what of Ophelia? Been awfully quiet down there. No.
Well, this is kind of a complex situation on Ophelia's end, because this has kind of been proving that her suspicions earlier on were correct. And I really want to know what's going on in that temple.
Is there is there a way to give her another attractive attribute for smug? Like smug points, like so smug right now.
I mean, I don't know how to say "I told you so" in like high and mighty night talk, but like
the tag "I told you so."
Yeah,
the tea drinking tag.
I told you so. Yeah.
So here's how I view it in the fiction as well. Sir Daniel, they can ride alone and challenge the Pontinate directly. Anyone who wants to go with Sir Daniel, including any squires, you can sort of send in advance. The rest of you can raise an army to march on the fortress. Is that how it goes out, or does it go differently? Because there is an army there that'll wait.
I mean,
There's an army where?
Decides to ride out alone, or Orphelia's going to go with them.
Chef and Timmy would try to reason with Sir Daniel to calm them.
Between the dragons. Yeah, between the dragon's cool-headedness and Sir Catalina de Wolf is out for blood, but knows that support is needed. So I think Sir Catalina would assist Antimony in trying to talk Sir Daniel off the ledge.
Daniel, it's up to you entirely.
I wouldn't hear what they have to say because Danielle is fired up.
With the burial, okay. So, question: with the burials, was it known that that was Sir Daniel's sister? Like, would we have known at this point?
To them alone.
So, do I have some sort of sense that something was off there, though? Because I was right there when this happened. That was not a normal reaction to "I saved your life."
You 100% have that sense.
Okay, but Sir Daniel has not communicated anything to me. Okay.
Nope.
Yeah, they don't do that. That's not their style.
You could definitely tell that like they knew them. One, because you saw the sigil of the eagle, so you probably know that I knew them, if we don't know what kind of relation we had.
Okay,
More than
that seems
others.
Okay, if that's the case, then if Sir Daniel takes off without listening to Chef Antimony at all, Orphelia is actually just going to follow almost out of concern more than anything else.
Oh, Orphelia, the sweetest bee.
Aw.
What?
Like, I feel like I did something wrong. I don't know what, but they're really mad.
Oh gosh.
So what do you
Here's the plot twist. Sir Daniel shows up. They all kneel to them, and and just takes their spot on the throne. No, and it's like, rebellion. No, that's not how it goes. So here's what I'd like. I'd like the Antillier to make a check to raise the army. And it's not a test difficulty of 12, it's a test difficulty of 6. You have the captain of the knight's blessing as well, so you're going to get +2 just from the sheer force that's helping you.
How many tags can I use on this?
As many as you'd like.
I'm beautiful, steadfast, and patient.
So you get all 3.
Yes. I got a 7.
You will raise that army, and in a day's time, they will march upon the fortress, and they will fight to the death, and attempt to expel the Inquisition to the desert. They will see that every last member of the Inquisition is marched there. That's going to be a second check, and I won't have you roll right now. Antimony, did you join the Antillier or Sir Daniel? There will be no stopping Sir Daniel. There will be no... go ahead. Yeah, I'll let you work that.
I think... I don't remember. I think Sir Daniel wanted to hear what Antimony...
Yeah, I did.
What I just said.
Okay, yes.
To see if Antimony could stop them. So... To Daniel, there is a fine line, a blade's edge, one might say, between the Inquisition and the Pontinate. It is a fine line, a blade's edge, one might say, between the Inquisition and the Pontinate. It is a fine line, a blade's edge, one might say, between the Inquisition and the Pontinate. It is a fine line, a blade's edge, one might say, between the Inquisition and the Pontinate. It is a fine line, a blade's edge, one might say, between the Inquisition and the Pontinate. It is a fine line, a blade's edge, one might say, between the Inquisition and the Pontinate. It is a fine line, a blade's edge, one might say, between the Inquisition and the Pontinate. It is a fine line, a blade's edge, one might say, between the Inquisition and the Pontinate. It is a fine line, a blade's edge, one might say, between the Inquisition and the Pontinate. It is a fine line, a blade's edge, one might say, between the Inquisition and the Pontinate. It is a fine line, a blade's edge, one might say, betw between righteous passion and a fool's conviction. I urge you to see what side this action may fall upon. Because I see you. I see the potential in what you preach and the way it fuels you. But, like all good steel, it must be tempered. You, more than anyone I've ever met, knows the strength within tempering. Find that place within yourself now. Or else this may ruin and mar the blade forever.
Does the wolf say anything? Or you're just like, fuck it!
I was definitely staring because I wanted to give Chev and Tony the they're so well spoken that it was clearly their turn to shine in that moment. I glance over at Sir Daniel. You seem aloof, not fully calmed down yet.
There is fury in their eyes.
I look between the two of you and Sir Daniel. Chev Antimony speaks cool but passionate words. They are much more clear-headed than you or I could ever hope to be in this moment. We walked into this land to figure out what was going on. We are marked targets. There is something more going on that you haven't told us here, and I'm not asking you to share, but you must know that your passion goes beyond you. There is something stirring that never occurred to me. I don't know why your faith is so true and why it gives you such strength, but I acknowledge it and I cherish it, and I need you to hold briefly. We will have our moment, but now is not the time.
I think hearing that and seeing how Ophelia is so willing to go right off with them, Sir Daniel just says, I am bound by justice to seek vengeance and a duel for what has been taken of mine and those around me. It is the will not only of my God, but of my truest being. But I am honor-bound to safeguard those who ride with me, and I will not force someone else to die for my crusade. They sheathe their sword, and they're like rose cloak and furls, and they just say, thank you. Your counsel has been greatly appreciated.
We will get through this.
They walk towards Glitter Main.
Glitter Man.
Good old glitter.
Miraculous mouth.
Chill.
So, and so is it decided that an army shall be raised and march upon the fortress?
I think so, yes.
Sounds like it.
Who the army is well who of the knights leads the army into battle? Who is the chief commander of the attacking force?
Oh, I wonder.
I can't. Nothing is coming to mind. I can't even.
I never assume my position. I will always hold and wait for confirmation.
It's Sir Daniel.
There you go.
100% Sir Daniel.
Well, that's who's going to lead the army, but who's going to deal? A different knight must deal with the Pontinate. Is the second question. So there's going to be this large assault, and then there's going to be dealing with the false prophet.
Oh, I want the prophet.
Yeah, that's true.
You're
You deserve that prophet,
Yeah.
Get it. Get that prophet.
Get that prophet.
Make it rain.
Make it rain
Prophet
prophet.
blood. Make it rain prophet blood. Just so much prophet blood.
So the first thing that must
I
be
thought
done.
prophets were the tenants of House Dragon.
So this determines the manner in which you will be presented to His Grace Claude, Pontinate of the Church. I need one of you who is not going to be the mouthpiece to the prophet to make a check. It's a difficulty 12. Your army against theirs. The Rise of the Wolves versus...
I can raise an army, but I don't think I can lead one.
Yeah, I don't think Arphilia has any business leading an army at this point.
Oh, I guess I can take up.
You could put a squire. No.
Donald!
Donald has like a foot-long hoagie and just... All right.
Oh, if well, Sir Catelyn is an excellent warrior, but if you want to be more in the fight, Antimony is a studied tactician.
Ah, the strategist leads the pack. That would be certainly interesting.
And all right, Antimony, if you'd like, apply your attractive qualities, exhaust any tags that you would like, and your house won't come to effect.
I would apply educated and disciplined as my attractive qualities on this, as a tactician, and the discipline to command an army, not fighting in it. And I would try to exhaust my tag of liberator.
Yes.
For this, as a leader of the people, as we rise against, in this case, the tyranny of the faith.
All right, and you can spend any valor or cerebration points depending on the manner in which you combat. On a 9. Yeah, go ahead.
This for Antimony is all cerebration. It's all mental. It's the movement, and it's like a chess game.
Yeah, you lure them out more than even, get them to come to you, get them to leave the stronghold. Now, on a 9, it's sort of an even fight. On a 12, you will annihilate the Inquisition army, the army of the Inquisition.
So I get 1 for educated, 1 for disciplined. How much for liberator?
3.
3? Okay, so that's 5. I will spend 3 from cerebration as well.
Okay.
Question.
So I'm adding 8. Yes.
Sir Kathleen has investment. Like, I want to see the army absolutely annihilate them. So
you would have to ride out with them. Yeah.
Can I make an inspirational speech as I hand the reins off to them? I
would allow that. I would allow that.
I would absolutely address the crowd.
Was that a
I'll allow. Yeah, I'll let you roll 2 dice in this situation.
Okay. Well, one is a 6 and the other one is a 9, so that is a total of 17. For the highest one.
The way the story is told, although there were many casualties at the end of the day on the side of House Wolf, not a single one was slain. None of the old, none of the young. They fought valiantly, and Intimity's tactics allowed them to. One, it allowed Orphelia, the Antillier, and Ser Daniel to infiltrate the fortress temple in advance. And Ser Daniel finds himself face to face with the Pontinate, his Grace Claude. The Antillier and Orphelia are there as well. Ser Cataline, I believe, is protecting, essentially holding the flank so none can get in and interfere.
Absolutely.
How do you handle this?
Daniel would challenge Claude to a duel. Just themselves in the eyes of the Lord.
He pulls out a single dagger from behind his back, and it's going to be a difficulty 12. I'm going to tell you how this goes down. On a success, the Inquisition ends, it is overthrown. On a fail, Ser Daniel will be seriously wounded, possibly dead. You'll get to make the decision.
Mm-hmm. And I think as we see this, Daniel actually gets a sword and kicks it over to Claude because he will not fight someone on even ground. They are honor bound.
He draws the sword, and you can tell that it seems right in his hand. He's trained.
Okay, so I'm going to use my Graceful and Swordmaster. They give me 1 each, right?
Mm-hmm.
See here, I'm going to use my Heir Apparent. How much does that give me?
Your Heir Apparent gives you 2 in this situation.
Okay. Okay, so that's 4. And I'm going to use see here, 3 from Valor.
Okay.
Okay. That's 7. Oh, I'm gonna use my crit as well, but I don't need to go 9. So, as this is happening, I think we see Danielle sparring with this person, and it's clear that Danielle is the superior swordmaster in this particular fight. And I think as like the light kind of comes in from the day, shining through a tinted window of the sun, and Danielle is just kind of bathed in this light that kind of glistens off of the crown they're wearing. And then Danielle does the move where he where they block parry, and then finish the same as their sister. And pass them, and they fall.
And with that, Claude's crusade in the Marmors ended. The Inquisition fell and completely crumbled. The church's political influence waned for the rest of the year. There was some talk that perhaps the crown was persecuting members of the church, but those in the Marmors know the truth. Now we're going to go around and give our summaries for how our nights changed and evolved over the course of this year. And we'll go Danielle, Orphelia, Antimony, the Antillier, then Ser Cataline.
I think they have changed quite a bit from the first year. I think they realized how harsh the rhetoric can be for those who don't have a steeled mind to know the true saying. So they definitely have pulled back on the exorbitant use of the religion, and I think Satanya is being more introspective within the church and trying to find out more zealots and weak-minded individuals who are corrupt from within rather than without. And I think Sadanya has changed their title. They'll no longer be the Rose Knight, but the Fawned Knight.
And you receive a new tag, and this tag is marked as essentially I'm trying to come up with a good word in my head, a good phraseology for this one, but essentially it is the tag is essentially anointed one. So essentially you are viewed as sort of this holy knight by the people, and members of the church know that if the church oppresses, you are there to keep it in check. In fact, you are known as essentially the holy judge. So at some point in matters of church and state, Sir Daniel is the one that the people respect. You also get to advance or retract a clock. So what do you do?
I think we're seeing a lot of crows. The regalia. So I think the nation one. We're seeing like that crow memorabilia that was coming from the other land coming in. So
yeah. A lot of. Wait till Jess's character or Little Cup of Joe's character shows up. Ha ha ha. There's a whole Pinterest. Foreshadowing. And Chev Orphelia.
So Chev Orphelia this year, I think seeing the sheer scale of what was going on with the Inquisition, and also having her intuition proved correct, even though so many people tried to talk her down out of it and trying to get her to stop following her heart as much, and pay more attention to the game, pay more attention to the politics. I think this year she came more into herself as trusting her own instincts, trusting her own way of doing things, even if it's not what she necessarily should be doing, as far as how the political scape in general feels that knights should conduct themselves. But also, once again, the complexity and the gray morality was something that I think was made more obvious to her this year with how the expedition ended up, or the Inquisition ended up. So I think this year Orphelia started to actually pay more attention to the church, and actually try to not just treat them as this is another house that is someone that we need to deal with politically, but actually try to understand them a bit. She's trying to actually understand Sir Daniel's point of view a little more than she was previously.
You receive a tag, and the tag you've received is the marked one. It's a little mysterious. Alicinda may have been pushed into a burning church, but that doesn't mean she died in a burning church.
That's fine.
And Yes. So the Raven's Blade is a little disappointed that they fell so quickly, and that there was interference by a certain knight of House Lion. However, that can also be used advantageously. The fact that you're marked, there might be. So,
I was gonna say, like, how do I use that tag? If it's
you're gonna have to get creative. It's I had the heretic tag once, and it was like, how do I use that? Not everyone's friends with the church, and not everyone is friends with the Raven's Blade. And there are allies that you will find being marked by the Ravens. And Chev Antimony.
Oh, okay. So Chev Antimony has spent the next bit of the year upon returning to capital, spending more time amongst the educated populace a little bit, those thinkers, the philosophers. They have changed. They understand the power of organization and the power of the people, and they're not. It's not out yet, and it's not published yet. But they begin working on a small treatise called the Tyranny of Conviction, and are examining the nation's fascination and dependence and faults with being so reliant on faith.
You've also earned yourself the tag Wolf Friend. Members of House Wolf and the citizens of the Marmor remember Chev Antimony of House Dragon and how not one fell during that dramatic conflict. Well, save for the Inquisitors. They died. And the Antillier, her Star of the Skies.
The Antillier is a little bit more skeptical of the church now, and no longer takes belief at face value, as they once did before. I don't know what that was, but it was fun.
Got raided.
Oh, cool. Hi. So the Antillia doesn't quite trust the word of the church anymore, and she's starting to feel disconnected from her knights as well. All these things keep cropping up, and she still doesn't know what's going on in her country. Also, gonna go ahead and push that revolution forward, because I definitely I'm instigating it.
That reminds me, what would Antimony and or attract?
I think I'm kind of in the ideas of Antimony and what they're speaking about with the other members of the kingdom and the academy. I think that is also pushing forward revolution.
You say you want a revolution, and Orphelia, how would you like to adjust the clocks?
I think.
Or actually, I think Antony's actions actually are antagonistic to the church more than they are to the crown, and so it pushes up the Inquisition clock a little bit again instead of the revolution clock. Sorry about that.
Okay. No worries.
I mean, I think in Orphelia's case, whatever the Antillia is doing is still something that Orphelia 100% is supporting. So I don't know how that would necessarily manifest in terms of actual narrative in this case.
You could always pull the revolution clock back, and of course the mini games in the next session will throw it forward.
Interesting. Although, yeah, let's do that.
All right, and then quickly, and I'll assign tags. The Antillier, the tag that you've have right now is foreign ally. At a certain point, you will be able to summon upon a foreign ally, perhaps a sister queen, from across the sea. And Sir Catalin, go ahead and quickly give us your character summary. We are at time, so we'll quickly do plugs, then get ready for the next show.
Yeah, absolutely. So Catalin was perplexed. Like, she's going to spend some time processing the fact this year has been conflicting. Seeing what faith can bring, both in the good way and the bad way, is something she's not dealt with directly before. So it's been a time. It was good to see Chev Timony protecting the wolves and leading them strategically while we passionately fought. It was good to see Sir Daniel take revenge and try and squash the Inquisition in terms of that holy war. So overall, it was good.
You are given the tag of the Merciful One, which almost seems like a counterweight to some of the other rewards that you're given. But in your treatment of Alicinda and not striking her down immediately, you're known that even though you are the most fearful warrior in the land, you've also been known to show mercy. In fact, there are some that say, Sir Daniel is more violent than she is. So with that, so you're given that tag. So with that, we're at the end of our show. We ran a little over, but hey, let's all let everyone know where we can find each other online. My name is Grant Ellis at Wise Papa Grant on Twitter. Stay tuned because Baganova is going to be running a show immediately after this one, and we'll go around clockwise. So Jess, why don't you go next?
Hello, I'm Jess, Burst of Hope on Twitter. That is basically where you'll find everything. I've got a couple of new sessions starting next week, so that's going to be exciting. I'm super happy for Pro and Numenera. But that's all. Thanks, find me on Twitter. Exciting as always.
And Marcy?
Hi, everybody. My name is Marcy. You can find me on Twitter at MarSievellan. I'm the GM for the Owl of Lycia. I also do Gold Heart Group on every other Saturday. And I'm involved with a couple of other projects. You'll find me here on Monday again on Encounter Roleplay for the Game of Thrones role-playing game, which is on Monday. It's going to be great. I think that's it for me.
Hi, I'm Poisal. You can find me on Twitter at apoisal, APOISAL. You can find me doing some other projects across Twitch. You can find me on my own Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Poisal. And if you like feelings and things like this, you should check out the show I'm in tomorrow at noon Pacific Standard Time on twitch.tv/QTimes. It is we are in the middle of our short run of Robin D. Law's Hillfolk as I play with the other Uncommon Trust, and we have a lot of feels. It's good. Come check it out.
And M?
Hi, I'm M at eTreffery on Twitter and Treffery most other places. I do the yelling about RPGs and magical girls, and I pop up on RPG streams kind of all over the internet. Yeah, if you're curious as to exactly what those are, just follow me on Twitter. That's me.
And Pro Restarter.
Yeah, hey, great as always. You can catch me on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram, all under the same name, Pro Restarter. If you come to my channel on Monday, we're starting a new season, 15 shows throughout the week, starting with Numenera at 7 p.m. EST. We'll be giving away a starter set for Numenera, thanks to Colin's second half of Phantom Roll Booth. Just simply follow the channel, follow my Twitter, be there at the live show, and we'll be giving away that starter set. And yeah, hope to see everyone there and see everyone next week. And I can't wait to see what happens with the next year coming up with this game.
And don't forget our sponsors, Fantasy Grounds, our virtual tabletop of choice. Get all your miniatures from Wayland Games. You can get D&D, Warhammer, and 40k minis for 20% off. And last but not least, Tabletop Loot for all the fantastic dice that you can get when we reach our stream goals. Thank you all and have a good night. Goodbye.
Goodbye.